What is transfer pricing? Why are multinational corporations doing it? And why are governments a bit uneasy about it? Well, transfer pricing is a normal practice. When you have a company that has subsidiaries or operations in different countries, sometimes those entities trade with each other. They could send goods from one country to another. They could also have loans, or they could also transfer intangible assets such as intellectual property and other fees, licensing fees, consulting fees between the various parts of the multinational enterprise. Now, why is this bothering governments, and why governments are increasingly scrutinizing how do companies transfer goods, services, and intellectual property or intangibles within the multinational corporation? Well, the short answer is governments think that they are losing in taxes. In particular, countries that have higher taxes, corporate income taxes in particular, are seeing that the multinational corporations use the transfer pricing, the transfer of goods, services, and intangibles within the multinational group to artificially decrease the tax burden in high-tax countries, such as Germany, for example, and they report taxes in countries with really low tax rates, such as Ireland. So the main issue for the governments is they wouldn't like to lose the tax revenue. But that said, that applies to the higher tax governments. Countries such as Ireland that have lower taxes, they are quite happy with the multinationals kind of escaping and not paying that much taxes in countries such as Germany. Examples closer to home. So in New Zealand, for example, the multinationals such as Microsoft and Cisco were investigated by the local tax authorities about not reporting enough income or not paying the proper amount of taxes in New Zealand, and were fined, for example, $25 million fine to Microsoft, and about $5 million fine to Cisco. In the European Union, where the governments, when the countries have quite different tax rates, but you also have a supranational body, such as the European Commission, that tries to kind of harmonize or manage the tax rules in different countries. They found that Apple, for example, has been really kind of dodging taxes in many of the EU countries through artificially directing the taxes to Ireland, and then even benefiting from special tax exemptions that the country was offering. And in the end, it was billions of euros that Apple had to pay to the EU. So I think the overall concern of governments is that every company needs to have kind of a social license to operate, and they should contribute fairly some share of their profits to the countries where they have their workers and where they're part of not just economy, but the broader social system. So if Google or Facebook want to operate in Australia, for example, now Australian government is deciding that they should pay the fair taxes. They should even pay potentially for the news that they're using. One of the issues that is now the forefront in the Australian media, because Google, for example, is paying in New Zealand effectively less than 0.1% of the ad revenues as taxes to New Zealand. So a lot of these large companies, they obviously create a lot of value for the customers and for the countries, but for the countries they could create more value, and the governments are increasingly trying to make sure that they are not cheated, or that they get the fair share that they can later provide to the society to increase the well-being and infrastructure, improved infrastructure of the country.